Hi all, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Let's wait for some time and then we will start. Okay, let's start. So first of all, in the last session, we worked on in-place upgrade that is from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Okay, and it is working fine. So I upgraded it. And if you want to see, so I'm going to my VMware, right? So let me turn it on, connect and start. So if you're going to see the session again, right? Earlier, this machine was installed with Windows 10, right? But we upgraded it to Windows 11 by using our SCCM console, and it is working fine, and it is upgraded with Windows 11. Okay, let's log in and I'll show you. See. See. Right now, how it is happening in the background, right? I just deployed it, right? Then under Windows Center, I was able to see that yes, it is available in the System Center. It is available. The upgrade is available. I can go with the install, and I just installed it. Okay, so we have to just understand the functionality, right? We have to work on the configuration from very scratch in order to build a complete infrastructure for our SCCM. Okay, so initially also in the previous session also I told you that we have to, we have to create 3 servers in order to work with the SCCM environment. That is database, domain controller, and the MECM, our primary site server. Then other can be our client machine, so that we can check that what and all things we are going to deploy, whether we are getting over there or not. Right, the same one more example, let me show you. What I did is, from my for my last class, right, what I did, I configured the patching also, like I configured the WSUS services also. So it is a major part, right? In every organization, what you have to do, you have to make your infrastructure up to date. And obviously, how you can do it? You can do it through the SCCM console itself. You can deploy the updates either forcefully, or you can make it in the available mode. So if you're doing it forcefully, then automatically it will going to be installed in the user's machine. No changes are needed or no manual intervention is needed, right? But if you are doing it in the available mode, then it will be available under the software center. And let me show you. So I just deployed some of the updates. So let me log in onto it, onto my MECM server. See, so these are the updates which I got from the Microsoft catalog update. Okay, so once I am going to get in my console, then I have to target the devices, or you will be able to see here itself. See, this update is needed by the 3 servers. You can see the required status. It is showing it is needed by 3 servers. Okay, so if I'm going to select this update, this particular update, I will be able to get the information of the required machine. Okay, so if I'm selecting this view required, I will be able to see that on what and all machines I have to deploy this update. And next time I'm going to just target it, and then I can deploy the update. Okay, and where it will be available, it is going to be available in our software center, and under updates we will be able to see this is the latest update that was released in 23 and in July month 7. This is the latest update. So this is how we have to make our infrastructure up to date, by deploying the latest patches. As well, I can deploy the patches for my client machine, for my Windows 10, for my Windows 11, everything I can do, right? So this update, I deployed it in the available mode. That is why it is showing me, and I have to manually select install, and it is going to install in this device. Or what I can do, I can do the forceful installation also. Okay, so this is also the major thing that we can do, or the organizations are doing with SCCM. Right? So now let's get back and let's start with the scratch, that what and all things we have to configure, and what and all servers we have to configure, and what and all features we have to install in all the servers. Okay, first of all, it depends on which platform you want to build your labs. Either if you have a good configuration of laptop, then in that case you can configure it in your own laptop. If you have a 32 GB RAM, then I would recommend you to install it on your own laptop, right? If you don't have, in that case, you can create one account on Azure. Okay, so you will be getting the access of that Azure account for 1 month, and you will be able to use the services. You will be able to create the servers over there. Right, so let's go with the planning first of all. So first of all, we are in the planning phase. Right now, my company wants that we want to upgrade to SCCM. We want to plan for the SCCM infrastructure, right? So this is a planning phase actually, in which we are going to plan how many servers are needed, what and all compute we are going to select for that servers, right? What and all sites we are going to configure. So in this case, we have to just plan everything in order to build a new SCCM infrastructure. Okay, just for example, let me go with my PPT. Just a second. Okay. So first of all, why SCCM is needed, or MECM, why it is needed? right? So SCCM is the industry platform for managing devices in the enterprise environment. So multiple organizations are using, see why it is called endpoint configuration manager, because we are managing our endpoint devices like client machines. That is why it is named as Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager. It is a mature tool and is in the market from last 25 years. And nowadays, yes, again, it is very popular, right? Even nowadays, Intunes is also popular, right? So what we can do, we can integrate our Intunes account and SCCM both, right? So even organizations are using SCCM and Intunes both. So some of the operations, like if they want to manage their laptops, right? In that case, they are using SCCM. But in case they want to manage the mobile devices, they are using Intunes. Yes, we can use Intunes for laptops also. But this is the example that I'm giving, that multiple organizations are integrate their Intunes with the SCCM also. It can also be the scenario, and even I'm going to show you once we'll touch up our Intunes topic. So over there we are going to integrate our Intunes account to SCCM. Okay, so that the same we will be able to use Intunes and SCCM both simultaneously. Okay, so MECM holds 43 market share. So as I told, multiple organizations are using SCCM, and even if you'll go to Naukri portal, there are multiple jobs available for the SCCM profile, right? Then almost all big size and medium size companies has implemented MECM. Even if you are working in your organization, right, in any of the organization, right, if you are able to see in your laptop if software center is there, or if company portal application is there, so there is a difference, right? If you have system center, if you have system center in your laptops, then your company is using SCCM or MECM, you can say. Or if you have company portal application, right, then you are using Intunes. It is totally a cloud-based tool. This Intunes, it's a totally cloud-based tool. No need to configure anything in your infrastructure, right? You have to just get the license of Intunes. There are multiple licenses available on Microsoft, right? So you can just select your license and then you can go with it.
Sir, it is regarding Azure. Need to be added in Azure AD.
Azure AD is basically, yes, obviously we want to synchronize with our Azure AD also.
Okay. Only we configure in our infrastructure and not sync in AD with Azure, so it will not work in Intune.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
If
you.
you want to work with Intunes, even for SCCM also, right? If you want that the devices which are in your on-prem, now let's suppose I have some domain controllers, I have some servers, right? So I want whatever the users I have in my domain controller, it should sync with my Azure AD. Okay, and it should available under Intunes, and I will be able to see on the users onto my Azure AD. Then in that case, I have to use a tool that is called Azure AD Connect. And don't worry, I'm going to show you the demo also for this one. So what Azure AD Connect will do, whatever the users are going to be there in my on-premise domain controller, that will going to synchronize with my cloud AD, right? And once they will be able to sync, I will be able to see them under my Intunes account also. Okay, we have to assign some license to them, and then we will be able to see this.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we have the labs for all these things. Okay, don't worry. Okay, so I was talking about that if you can see software center in your laptops, then in that case your organization are using MECM, or if you are able to see the company portal application in your phones as well as in your laptops, then in that case they are using Intunes. right? Now, so now we are into planning phase. We have to plan that what and all device we are going to manage through SCCM. As I told you in the previous lecture, that we have to configure primary site. It is mandatory. Primary site is always mandatory. Other central administration sites and secondary, these are optional, but primary is always needed. Okay, and under primary site, I can manage around 1,75,000 devices, and I believe it is more than enough. But if I have a big infrastructure, then in that case I have to plan either for multiple primary sites, or I have to plan one central administration site also. That is depend on the scenario. That is depend on the scenario. Okay, so what I will do, let me go to my drawing option. Okay, and now as I told you, we have to configure one primary site. Okay, it is always mandatory. So in order to configure this SCCM, right, we will be needing again 3 servers. Last time also we talked about. Three servers we will be needing, under which one is going to be database, the second is going to be domain controller, and third is going to be our MECM server, the console where actually we will be able to access SCCM console, right? And it is going to be our distribution point as well. So in this server, whenever we are going to configure the primary site here, automatically one role is going to be configured here, which is called distribution point, DP. So the role of this, or the job of this role, is to distribute the contents to my client machine. So from from where they are going to pick up the policy, they will pick the policy from my distribution point. It can be as many as you want, but as we are going to configuring this as a primary site, so we can manage around 1,75,000 devices. So one by one, they are going to pick up the policies, or what and all updates we want to deploy, what and all application we want to deploy, what and all information we want to extract. Everything we can get from the, like everything we will be able to get here. Okay, so this is my distribution point, which is going to distribute the data or the policies to multiple devices this way, right? So even this can work with your local network, as well as if let's suppose these laptops are not in your office network. These are on, even these are not connected with the VPN, right? Still you want to manage them, still you want to, let's suppose, deploy any update, that is also possible. We have to create some exception, we have to create some firewall exception, so that if any of the device is not in our office network, in that case also we will be able to manage them. Now let's suppose I'm connecting this device from my home and I'm not connecting the VPN. Okay, but still the SCCM team want to deploy some forceful updates, right? So in that case also they can do that. They can do this and they can deploy the update. It can be anything, like let's suppose I want Chrome, so they can deploy it from this distribution point, and then I will be able to get in my software center. Okay, and I can use the application then, right? So 3 servers we have to configure: DC, and then our database server, and then our MECM server. And onto this, we have to first of all install some features, right? After installing the feature, we have to download some of the application from the internet also. Okay, so we will go step by step. We are going to prepare the list day wise, that what and all agenda will be there. Okay, because see, the configuration itself, it is going to take 5 to 6 hours or more than that. Okay, it totally depends on the configuration that you have, and it totally depends on the internet connectivity also, because we have to download some software, right? So it depends on the your internet speed also. Okay.
Sir, we create on Azure.
Yes.
Is it available free servers on the with
Yes.
a good configuration?
Yes. Yes. If you have like credit card, right, and you have not used ever, you have not ever used that credit card in your for the Azure account, then you can use that card, and you will be able to get the machines good compute power.
So actually, I configured Azure and not used more than 3 months. So they blocked my account. So can I recover that
Obviously,
account?
no, you cannot, because it is valid for 1 month
Oh.
only. So what you can do in this case, you have to get the credit card of any other person.
Okay,
Then you
second
can
credit
use
card.
it. Yes, you cannot use it
Okay.
your own second card.
Okay.
If you will be having 5 credit card, you will be able to use only one. The other you will not be able to. You
Okay.
have
So
to get it
totally
from
with a
the another
different
person.
name.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So I will try to create an account this that second of today or tomorrow. So can we do that? Create a server for practice tomorrow.
Yeah,
Can you help?
today itself I'm going to show you how we can create the servers on Azure.
Okay, sure.
Okay,
Thank
I'll
you.
be showing you both the option initially. Okay, how you can configure it in Azure. The second, how you can configure it in your own laptop or on networking laptops. Sorry, networking labs. Okay, so I'll be showing you both the options, not worry. Okay, so the planning phase, we decided that we are going to configure one domain controller, one database server, one MECM server, and then in order to verify that whether my clients are getting the updates or not, I have to configure some Windows 10 devices also. Okay, so you already have the who are going to benefit or who are going to get the benefit with this course. First of all, the person who are already working as a system administrator, right? Or the person who are working as a desktop support engineer, but still they want to upgrade their self. Okay, and obviously I can see most of you are my MCSA students, right? So obviously it would be beneficial for you all, because at the end, once you are working on your Active Directory, once you are working on the servers, right, you have to work on SCCM also. There is a separate team in every organization that is managing the SCCM environment. If you are going to LinkedIn, you will be able to get multiple jobs as well, and you will be able to get multiple people who are just working as a SCCM administrator only, and they are getting good packages. Okay, so if you already have the knowledge of servers, if you already knows about what is Active Directory, what are group policies, if you already knows about that what and all features we can install onto the servers, so this is the best course for you, right? Now I have one Azure account, right? Already I have configured it on the networking servers, so obviously these all things are configured already, right? I have already built our infrastructure, but now we are going to build it from very scratch. For that, what I will do, I'm going to create the virtual machine on Azure portal. Portal.azure. No, it is not this one, I believe. The account would be different. Yeah, this is not the correct account. Hmm. Okay, yeah, right. So this is my Azure account. Whenever you are going to create a account on Azure, you will be getting the $200 in order to use the Azure services. See, I am left with 15,543 rupees. Okay, so what I will do, I'll go to search and I will search for the virtual machines. I will type here virtual machines, right? And now we can create a virtual machine. So I'll go to create and Azure virtual machine, right? So first of all, in order to create any of the service in Azure, we have to create a resource group, right? So resource group is a kind of container under which I am going to add all the services which are available in Azure. Either it is virtual machine, either it is storage account, either it is backup, right? So everything is going to be happen in the resource group. Okay, so I'm going to create one resource group. I'll select create new, and I'm going to create one group with MECM hyphen training, and okay, right? And then I'll give the virtual machine name. So let's suppose this machine I'm going to create as domain controller. Okay, so I'm going to name it as DC. Okay, so this is the region under which we can create the virtual machine, right? So for now, let's suppose I'm going with these TOS only by default, and then we have availability option. So this is if I want the high availability of my devices. Okay, in production environment, you are going to use this option, but for us, it is not needed. Okay, now the security type, I'm going to select it as standard, and then the image type. Image is basically the operating system image, right? So I'll go with Windows Server 2019. Okay, and then I can select the virtual machine, the virtual CPUs, and then the RAM size. Okay, so I'll go with, I'll select this drop down and I'll go with uh, one for now, one virtual CPU and 3.5 GB of RAM is fine for us. Okay, then because see, the cost depends on compute power also. Higher will be the compute power, higher will be the cost. Okay, but we have to use this 15,000 amount in a way that we will be able to create, and we will be able to manage our lab, as well as we will be able to see all the practicals. So that is why we are going with the like medium ones. Okay, and then you have to give some username so that you will be able to connect this machine. So let's suppose I'm going to use one account, that is what account we can use for this. Okay, let me use this one. Yeah, this one is fine. Okay, then password I need to give. So this is the password through which I will be able to connect this machine, right? And then RDP, you should enable RDP port also. If you're not going to enable it, you will not be able to take this system on remote. Okay, and RDP works on port number 3389. We have to enable it. Okay, then go next. Disk are fine. We are going with the default disk. We need not to connect any of the like additional disk is not needed. Okay, whenever it is needed, we can add later on also, right? Then go next, networking. Under networking, what you can do, we can create one virtual network also, so that whenever we want to create a new machine, right, it is going to be connect with our it is going to be connect with our like whatever the virtual network we are going to create, it should connect with that only, right? Then only we will be able to communicate, then only the machines will be able to communicate with each other. So that is why we have to make sure that if we want whatever the servers we are creating, it should communicate with each other, then in that case we have to set up the servers in a way that they should be either in a same virtual network. If they are on different, then in that case we have to do VNet peering. That is the second part. Okay, but for now I'm just going to create a default network for all the devices with the name of MECM hyphen network, right? And then create it. So whenever I'm going to build a new virtual machine, it should be connected with this MECM-network. Okay. And then we have to make one more change, this public IP. Under this public IP, you have to select create new, and then you have to select this as public, because if you are going to select it as standard, in that case, Microsoft is going to charge a huge amount from you. Okay, so that is why we just need to select basic. In production environment, we are okay, because at that company is going to pay, right? But for us, because we have a limited amount only, so we have to use that amount in a way that we will be able to complete our whole module. Okay, so that is why I'm just going to select basic and then okay. Now nothing, just go next, 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 review and create, or you can just directly select review and create. See, they are going to charge 9 rupees. See guys, if you are going to perform your labs on Azure, then in that case, I would recommend whenever you are done with your practicals, just turn off your machines, so that Microsoft will not going to deduct any amount. If the machines are in stopped state, Microsoft will not going to deduct any of the amount from your account. Okay, so whenever we are done with our practical, either it takes 4 hours, 3 hours, so you should turn your virtual machine off. Just make that habit. Okay, if you are using Azure. If you are using your own laptop, then it is fine, right? No need to turn it off. But for Azure, we have to plan like this and then create. Likewise, we have to create 2 more virtual machine. And guys, one more thing. Whenever you are using the Azure free trial account, right? Within a region, you will be getting three public IPs only. Means I will not be able to create the 4th virtual machine with the public IP. Private IP I can do. But if you want a public IP, because through public IP only we will be able to connect the machines. We will be able to RDP our machine. We will be able to take the remote desktop connection. Okay, so what we need to do, obviously if we are building 3 virtual machines, so in East US, so we will not be able to get the public IP for our 4th machine, for our client machine. So what I will do, I will select another region for that. If let's suppose I'm doing it in East US, the second region I will select as India. Okay, and then what I will do, I am going to create the VNet peering of both the locations. Hope you remember that whenever you want to join a machine onto your domain, it should be your domain should be, you should be able to communicate with your domain, right? Then only you can join. The same thing happening here also. Whenever you are going to join a machine onto domain, you should be able to reach to your domain, and then only we can join it. And for that, we have to do the VNet peering. Okay. Now, so this is getting created. Meanwhile, let's create one more virtual machine. Create Azure virtual machine. And I'm using the same resource group that we have created, that is MECM-training. And then we have the virtual machine name. So DC we have already created. Now let's suppose this is going to be my database machine, right? East US is okay. Available zone, it should be no infrastructure. And then security type, it should be standard. Image, we are okay with 2019. And then we are okay with the compute power also, 1 virtual CPU and 3.5 GB of RAM. And then we have to use the user. So the same user I'm going to use and the same password I'm going to use. Sorry. Right, then 3389, it should be enabled. Then go next. No disks are required for now. We are just going to change something on our networking part, right? See, this is a virtual network, and that is MECM network. So it should always be your MECM training. which we have created. Okay, that is under MECM network that we have to select, and then everything is fine. Let's select the public IP as create new. Okay, and I'm going to make it as basic, and then okay. It should be static always. Don't go with dynamic, because if you are going to shut down the machine, in that case your IP will get changed. Okay, so you should select static and then okay, and then everything is fine. Just review and create. The same way we have to create one more virtual machine for our primary site. Okay, and then create. We have some limitation with the Azure account, like some of the labs we will not be able to perform. Like let's suppose you want to install you want to do the bare metal installation of your operating system. Means from very scratch you want to do it from the Azure. It is not possible. Okay, because on virtual machine we cannot do it, right? But for that we have the Hyper-V lab. Under that we will be able to create a bare metal installation also. Okay. So wherever the limitation will be there, I will explain you, and I will let you know how we can get rid of it, or what option we can take in that case. Okay, now one more virtual machine I'm going to create. So that is going the same resource group I'm going to use. Okay, and then the virtual machine is now primary site, right? So I'm going to name it as MECM PS, right? Region is fine. Availability option, no infrastructure is needed, and then standard image 2019 is fine, 64-bit is fine, compute power is fine. So I'm going to use the same username and the same password. Or if you're going to change it, just do remember the usernames and password, right? Now 3389 is okay, and then go next. Disk is fine, no need to make any change. You should verify that you should be in the same network, right? And then the public IP, create new, just select basic and then okay. Right now just review and create. So till now we are good with the configuration of all the three virtual machine, that is DC, our database server, and our primary site server. Right. So now from my MECM batch, from my MCSA batch, can anybody volunteer to configure the domain controller DC? Okay, that's great, Rohit. Just do let me know the process, right? I will follow you. Okay. So I'll go to home again, and I'm going to take these virtual machines on remote. So for this, what you can do, either you can take the systems on remote one by one, like you have to go to MSTSC, right? And you have to provide the public IP of this virtual machine. But again, you are not going to give again and again, right? You're not going to provide the IPs again and again, and then you will connect, and then you will provide the username and password, right? So what we can do, we can use one tool, that is either you can use mremote application, okay, or you can use RDC connector. It is freely available from the Microsoft website. You can download it, RDC connector, right? And then how to add these machine onto RDC, and you can save your password also over there. Okay, so no need to give the IP, no need to give the password again and again. Once you have to just store it once, and then you will be able to connect it later on without providing any password or IP. Okay, so for that we have to download the tool. I already have, that is RDC manager. Okay, you can download it from the internet. Just go to your browser and type RDC manager. tool. Remote desktop connection manager, right? So from this link, you can download it. See, download remote connection. It is just a 530 KB. Let me give you the link for this. You can download it. Okay, now minimize it. And we have to add the servers one by one onto RDC manager. Okay, so once you're able to download it, you have to open it and then go to file, and then you will be getting one option called new. Select new, right? You have to create one file. Okay, so let's suppose I am creating one file with the name of primary site, and then save it. So this is the primary site, right? Under this, I can add as many as servers I want or as many as clients I want. Okay, so I'll right click on it, and then I'll be having one option of add server. Okay, so first of all, the server name, okay, server name is going to be the public IP of my machine, and then the display name I can give it as like DC, right? So let me go to my Azure console. Okay, and from there I need to collect the public IP for my domain controller machine. Okay, so this is my public IP. So I'll copy it and go to your RDC connector, and then on the server name itself, you have to provide the public IP, right? And now under logon credentials, uncheck this inherit from parent, and then you have to provide the username and password. Later on, once we're going to make this server as a domain controller, right? And then we can provide the domain also. Okay, but for now, I'm going to connect it with my local password and domain local admin account that I have created. Now add. So DC is added. Okay, same way you can add other servers also. So let me collect the IP for the database machine. I'll copy this public IP. I'll give the IP here, and then in the display name, I'm going to give it as database. Okay, and the login credentials, uncheck this, give your username which you have created, and then the password of that account, and then add. The same way, I need to add my MECM server also, add server, and then I'll go to my Azure account, MECM. I'll copy this public IP, right? And I'll go to now the display name, that is my PS, means primary site. Okay, or you can give it like MECM PS. And under login credentials, I'll uncheck this, right? And the password. That's it. And then add. Now directly you will be able to take this system. Just double click on it. Here we go. Right? Same way you can take the system on system DC on remote, and the MECM server also. Right? And later on, we are going to add our client machine as well. Okay. Okay. So these are the server that I have built. You can verify with the operating system also. We selected 2019, right? So we will be able to get 2019 operating system onto each and every device. Okay, and you can take the full screen also. Yes, you can select full screen from here. Yes. So this is our server, right? So again and again, no need to give the IP and passwords. You can just directly go to your RDC manager, and over there you have to just double click on it. And once you are going to join this server onto domain, so we can give the domain also over there. Okay. But before creating these servers as a database DC or our primary site server, we have to do some of the prerequisites. We have to do some basic configuration, which is, first of all, I am going to disable the IPv6 IP. Okay, which server is this? First of all, let me verify. Yeah, we are on to DC. Actually, it should show DC also here. Why it is showing IP? Anyways, we'll check it later on. So we'll go to networking first of all. I'll go to change adapter options, or you can use the shortcut also ncpa.cpl directly. Right now, right click on it, properties, and you have to just uncheck IPv6 and then OK. Right, close it. After this, we want to use some we want to use internet also in this machine, right? So what I will do for now, internet security is enabled, IE enhanced security is enabled, right? So I'm going to turn it off. See, for our own labs, right? Everything for every, if you are going to configure it in your laptops, or in that case also we have to disable it. Okay, and then okay. Along with it, I have to disable the automatic update also. Okay, because see, these systems are on internet, right? So automatically this Windows 2019 and 2022, we have the option in 2012 previously that we can select the updates, either we want to install it or not. Okay, but in case of 2016 2019, we do not have such this provision available that we can select either we want to install it or not. Once our server is going to be on internet, automatically it will start installing the updates also. We can do it in production environment, but for our lab, it can bother us, right? Maybe it will be needing the reboot during the installation. Okay, but I don't want it. Okay, so for that, what I will do, I'll go to my PowerShell. Graphically, it is not possible. I'll go to my
From policy,
huh?
from sorry,
From policy also, from good policy also we can do it.
yes.
Yes, we can do that. Okay, but as the system for now it is not the part of policy. Sorry, domain cover, right? So we have to do it manually. So what I'll need to type here, that is sconfig server configuration, and then enter. Okay, and then I have to go to this fifth option, Windows update settings. I'll type number 5 here and then enter. And then I have to make the updates as manual. Means until or unless I am not going to select check for updates, it is not going to get the new update from internet. Okay, and then enter. Okay, so this much is fine. These three things we have to take care during the configuration of our lab. Okay, so I'll go back to my database server. The same things I'm going to apply on that as well. Local server, and I'll select the IE enhanced security. And okay, right? And then I have to disable the IPv4. Sorry. Properties. I will uncheck this IPv6 and then OK, and then close. And then again, I'll go to my PowerShell, right? And then I have to type sconfig. Number 5, and then make it manual. Okay. Right. And then again, we need to go back to our primary site server. Close it. And properties. Uncheck it. Okay. And close it. Local server. Okay. And then go to your PowerShell. Make it manual. That's it. So we did the basic configuration on all the machines, right? Now let's create a domain controller, DC. So this is my DC, right? So I'm going to make it as full screen. Now, so who's going to help me? I forgot actually how to configure DC. So who's going to help me? Okay, just unmute yourself and do let me know the steps, the procedure which I need to follow. So guys, domain controller DC is the backbone of organization, or is the backbone of our SCCM environment also, from where we will be able to get the information of devices and all from the DC itself. Okay, either it is a primary domain or it is a child domain. Okay, so we will be able to get the information of all the users and devices from our domain controller. So that is why it is much needed and it is mandatory. And even every of the organization will going to have their domain controllers. Right. Now, tell me the steps, Rohit.
Sir, go to add role and feature.
Okay.
Then next. Then next. Actually, IP is not showing. Then I have to refresh the.
Okay, IP I'm getting here, Rohit, is that is 10.0.0.4.
Okay, this is public. Okay,
That,
next. Then
no,
next.
this is not public. This is private IP. Okay,
Yes, sir.
you remember we created one virtual network with the name MECM.
Yes, sir, yes.
Hyphen network. So over there we have defined the address space.
Okay.
Right? In DSCP we used to have DSCP scope, right?
Yes.
But in Azure it is called as address space. Okay. Now we have configured the address space as 10.0.0.4. Okay.
Then next. Here I have select two options, ADDS and DNS.
Active Directory Domain Services
and DNS
and DNS server. Okay.
Continue. Then next. 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 Then I have to choose option restart the destination if required.
If required, exactly. So sometime, guys, whenever we are installing any of the feature on the server, right? So it may needed a reboot also. Okay, so what we can do, whenever we are going to install any of the feature in our server, right? So we should select this option. It is not going to impact anything, but just for a safer side, we should select this. You can go with unchecking this option also. It is not going to like make any kind of a change and all, right? But just for a safer side, some of the features, like if you want to install BitLocker on the server, right? Or if you want to install RDS services, remote desktop services, in that case, it will be needed a reboot in between whenever it is going to install this feature. Okay, so that is why it is always good to select this option, and then yes, and then
install.
install. Okay, let's wait for the installation and then we will configure it. Okay, next step.
Then close the option, click on close and go to flag option. The yellow sign is showing.
Okay,
Then go to promote the server as a domain controller.
okay. So whenever I'm going to install ADDS and DNS, right, I'll be getting the option to promote the server as a domain controller. Till now, we have just installed the feature. We have not configured it. We have not made a domain controller, right? So I'll select this promote this server to a domain controller option.
First time I have to create the
Forest every time, right? Whenever you are going to configure infrastructure from very scratch, right? So first of all, we have to create the forest. Under that forest, I can create as many as domain I want, right? But it should have one forest. It should always have one primary domain controller. Now, primary domain controller, PDC, and forest is one and same thing. If someone is saying that PDC, so that means we have configured forest onto the server. Okay, if someone is saying PDC, then if someone is saying forest, then it means we have configured again the primary domain controller role onto that server, and vice versa, basically, right? And then I have to select add a new forest and then root domain name. See, either we can be a owner of domain, we have to buy the domain from it GoDaddy, or there are hosting or multiple vendors are there from where we can get the domain name. Okay, but we are not going to buy, right? We are just going to going with the basic one, right?
Sir,
Hmm.
I have a question. Already, if I have a domain, so can we add here or is it
Exactly,
not?
you can do it. Even I do have. I can go with that
Okay.
if I want, right?
Okay. So all other server is also and client is also add under this domain.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So is it good for practice or not?
Yes, you can do it. And even if you want, I will let you know the option that you will be able, you can get the domain name in 100 or 200 rupees only. I will let
Actually,
you
I have a domain on the GoDaddy.
then you can go with it. But for
Yeah,
others, I'm
yes, sir.
saying if they want to buy a domain, right, I will let you know
Yes.
the option. You will be
Okay.
getting it in the 200 or 250 rupees only. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure.
So for now, I'm just going with the free one, okay, which doesn't need any ownership and all. So I'm just going with the name that is lab.com.
Then go next.
Yes. Just a second. Oh, sorry. Actually, this. Okay, next.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Then I have to give the password, DSRM password.
what it is? Why we need to provide it?
When domain controller is corrupted, then to
If
recover the
we,
AD.
Exactly.
we want to remove AD
That
At
means
that
you
time
you
also.
have done MCSA course thoroughly, right? You aware of all the options, right?
Yes.
Okay. So DSRM password is basically, let's suppose if anything goes wrong with my domain controller, right, and I want to recover it. So I cannot recover it with my domain admin account, right? I will only be able to do it from the DSRM account.
DSRM password.
Okay. So you can provide the password to this also, and it is mandatory. Okay. You can see red star onto it. It is always mandatory to give. Okay.
Then
Next.
click on next, and then uncheck the option create DNS. Then next.
Hmm.
Then next. Again next. Next.
Okay. So now it will check whether the option that I have selected, right, or whether the installation I have made onto the server, whether it is correct or not. If it is passed, then only I will be able to make this as a DC. Okay, and then I have
Okay.
to select install. That's it. Okay, meanwhile it is getting configured. Let's go to our documentation part. This PC. Okay, sites. Okay, so one more thing I'm going to do after, like I'm going to create one Google Classroom for you all, so that you will be able to get all the documents and all the study materials. Okay. Design hierarchy of sites for configuration manager. Before installing the first site of a new configuration manager hierarchy, it is a good idea to understand the available topologies for configuration manager, the types of available sites and their relationship with each other, the scope of management that each type of site provides, the content management option that can reduce the number of sites you need to install. Okay, then plan a topology that efficiently serves your current business needs and can later expand to manage future growth. So that means we should go with the option like that. If later on I want to expand my infrastructure, so in a way I will be able to use the same account, right? I need not to configure one more infrastructure, so I have to plan like that. So as I told you, primary site, obviously it is always mandatory, and then under primary site I can access 1,75,000 devices. But if later on, now let's suppose I will be having 2,50,000 or 3 lakh devices, so in that case I can either plan for a primary site, okay, or multiple primary sites I can configure. Or if you want to manage that all primary site from a single site, then in that case we can configure central administration site. Under central administration sites, we can add up to 30 primary sites. Okay, and under primary site, we can add secondary sites. Now, from there, from where the secondary sites are going to get the policy. So they will get the policy from the primary site because they are under primary site. Okay, so install a new primary site below a central administration site if needed. Again, central administration site if it is needed. It is totally optional. Okay, up to the supported number of primary sites. So you can go to this link, everything is available. You will be able to get the information that how many sites we can configure under a central site. Okay, even it is showing the hierarchy topology. Okay, what I was talking about here is, so basically we can see the option determine when to use a primary site. Use primary site to manage client. Install a primary site as a child site below a central administration site or the first site of a new hierarchy. A primary site, that is the first site of a hierarchy, creates a standalone primary site. So whenever we are going to create a primary site, over there we are going to get the option. Either you want to add that site under a central administration site or you want to create a standalone. Okay, so we are going with the we are going to select the standalone site only because we are not going to create central site, but obviously we will create a secondary site. Okay, so these PPTs, these documents are going to help you basically to understand the concept. Obviously, even I am going to explain you everything, but if you want to read out the documents, right, in that case, you will be getting it. But for that, what I will do, let me create one classroom account. Okay, and I'm going to share the link with you all so that you will be able to get all the PPTs, all the interview questions, whatever the study material, right? So you will be getting over the classroom, Google Classroom. So right, I'll create a new class for you all. Okay, so this is your invite link. Just please join everyone. Okay, most of you are aware that how to access it, right? I'm going to create some folders onto it with the name of documents and then interview questions, everything, right? That what we used to do for MCSA, the same thing is for MECM as well. Okay, under this, I'm going to create the material. First of all, this is going to be our study material, right? And then the interview questions. Or time to time, we will be working on some assignments also. Okay, so based on the lab we are going to perform, so you have to do some assignments as well. Right, now let's see whether our DC is built or not. Okay, so it got restarted, that means it is configured. Okay, but now we made it as a domain controller, right? We will not be able to log in with the local admin account. We can log in with local admin, no worries, but it is always recommended that whenever we were working on the domain environment, so we should log in with the domain account only. Okay, so just right click on your DC, go to its properties and give your domain name also. Okay, in my case it is lab.com, and then okay. Now try it, login. Okay, so we successfully logged in onto this server with the domain account, right? And now the next part is to join these servers onto the domain.
So where we get the domain name from?
The domain name we are using, we have not get the domain from the any third party vendor and all, right? We use the free only, that is lab.com or kind of abc.com. These all
Or we
things you
just
can
create
use.
our own? Okay.
Exactly. But if you want to own a domain, then in that case we have to get it, we have to purchase it.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So for this domain which I'm using right now, we need not to pay anything, right? But if you want to work with the other domain, then in that case we have to buy it from the GoDaddy, or there are multiple vendors available over there, we can get it. Okay, so this is my DC, domain controller. Okay, how I can verify whether it is a primary domain or it is a child domain? How I can verify?
It's a domain name.com.
Sorry.
True rules. Professional rules.
Hello, sir, can I hear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, by using command net dom query FSMO.
Exactly.
If there is a 5 SMO rule, then the system is DC.
Primary DC, primary
Yes.
domain controller.
Yes.
Okay, so we have to verify with the command prompt, or you can verify through PowerShell also. Because see, it may possible that we will be having multiple domain controller in the environment, right? It could be a child domain, it could be a tree domain, right? It could be a additional domain controller also. But how to verify whether we are on which kind of domain controller? Because see, we will be able to see everything on all the servers. You can access your Active Directory users and computers, everything, group policies you can access. Okay, so if you want to access your users and computer, then in that case there is a shortcut dsa.msc, under which we will be able to access the users and computers. See, it is lab.com, and under this I will be able to see that what and all users I have created, as well as I will be able to see the computers also who are going to be, who are the systems which are going to be the part of my domain. It will be visible here. Right now, to verify again, you can go to command. Oh, let me open Windows PowerShell. Okay, you have to type just netdom, sorry, netdom query FSMO. So FSMO are the roles, basically 5 FSMO roles, if you have heard about, right? That is flexible single master operation roles, which are actually going to manage your domain controller. What and all things you are able to do in your domain controller that are actually managed by these 5 roles, which is schema master, domain naming master, PDC, RID pool manager, and then infrastructure master. So wherever these 5 roles are going to be there, it is going to be your primary domain controller. It is going to be your forest.
The secondary domain have only 3.
Additional domain controller will be having 0. Okay, child domain controller will be having 3.
Okay, child domain have 3.
Okay. Okay, so from here we can verify, or you can run one more command, that is net accounts, and then enter. If you are able to see the computer role, it is as primary, then it means it is a primary domain. But in case of CDC also, you will be able to see the role primary. Okay, but how you can compare? You can compare it through this command, netdom query FSM. Okay, in case of primary domain, you will be having the 5 roles onto the same server. See, type the host name. See, we are onto DC right now, and all the roles are on DC, 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 DC. Okay, but if I will be having the child domain, in that case, 2 roles are going to be with my forest, with my primary domain, and the 3 roles are going to be with my child domain. Okay. Okay, this is actually the part of MCSA. I'm just explaining you, maybe if you're not aware of, or mostly if you're aware, then it is just a revision for you all. Okay, then close it, close it. So we have successfully created a domain controller, right? And now we have to plan for our database server, okay? And we have to plan for our primary site server, right? But before joining that servers onto domain, I want to do some of the installation. I want to do some installation on both the servers. Okay, because see, whenever I want to configure a primary site, whenever I'm going to configure a primary site, in that case, what I need to do, I have to deploy some of the softwares. And in order to run that softwares, we will be needing some prerequisites installed onto that servers. Okay, so that is why we have to install like .NET framework, and then we have to install bits. Okay, multiple things are there, so we'll go one by one. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to install the .NET framework or .NET 3.5 onto my SQL server means onto my database server. So let's go back. Just a sec. Let's go to database server, right? Close it. And then let me take a full screen of it. So today we are not going to configure the primary site. Okay, but what and all prerequisites are needed, I will help you with that, right? And maybe tomorrow we are configure our primary site. Okay, now go to dashboard, select add roles and features. Okay, and then go next, next, next. And we have to install, okay, 3.5 we are not getting here, no worries, go next again. Okay, so choose .NET 3.5 framework features. Even this thing we have to do on our primary site server also. Okay, so select this one and then go next. Even this thing, guys, whatever these prerequisites are, right, you will be able to get it in the Microsoft documentation also. In order to configure a primary site, whenever you are going with the Microsoft documentation, I'm going to provide that as well, right? You will be able to get the prerequisites, that what and all features you need to install if you are going to configure a primary site or SCCM environment. Okay, then select this .NET 3.5, next, and install. Or you can select restart if needed, yes, and then install. Okay, now let's go back to our primary site server. Okay, after that we will join this server onto domain also. Okay, but before that let me do the prerequisites, or if the servers are in domain then also we can install the feature, right? And then okay, let me take a full screen of it because we have to install multiple features now. If you want I can write it down also, right? Let me write it. Okay, so first of all, from tomorrow you will be getting the agenda also, right? The feature, the process I'm going to follow, everything we are going to write. Okay, now I have to install these features. Sorry. Okay, first one is web server, that is IIS, right? And then I have to install .NET 3.5, right? And .NET 4.7, and even 4.8 also we have to install. .NET 4.7, right? Along with this, I have to install bits, background intelligent transfer services, bits. Then RDC, remote differential compression, right? Then I have to install ASP.NET 3.5. Sorry. Okay, then I need to select IIS WMI compatibility. Right, and then in the end I need to select IIS management scripts and tools. So after installing these all features, or if your servers are already in domain, then later on also you can install, or before joining the systems onto domain you can add these roles onto the servers. These are prerequisite, it should be there. Okay, now go back and go to dashboard. Need not to write, I will provide you the documentation. Okay, don't worry. Means that handwritten notes, basically I will provide that. Go next. Next, first of all, web server IIS, add feature. All at once, we have to do it all at once. Okay, because these roles should be there, then only we can make this server as a primary site. Okay, so we will do all at once. Now go next. Go to .NET Framework 3.5, check on this. Along with it, you have to expand it, right? And you have to choose HTTP activation, add feature, and then you have to choose known HTTP activation also. I will let you know all the reasons like why we are doing it. Okay, now expand .NET Framework 4.7 and expand WCF service and check on all the options. Named pipe activation and then TCP activation. And then background intelligence transfer services bits. Okay, check on this option also. Add feature. Okay, now go below, scroll down, or let me expand it. Okay, let's scroll down and we have to select remote differential compression, this one, RDC. Okay, and then go to remote server administration tools Okay, expand role administration tools, and we have to choose here Windows Server at update service tools, because see, if we want, we would be able to patch our systems and all, so we have to install it, and later on we are going to install WSUS feature also. Okay, now go next. This much we have to select from this page. Okay, .NET 3.5, 4.7 bits, and then RDC, and then we have to choose this one, remote differential compression, as well as we have to install this feature. What was that here? I forgot. WSUS tools. Okay, then go next. Okay, now go next. Right, now go to security, and under security we have to select Windows authentication. I forgot to write it down. It should be Windows authentication also we have to write, and we have to install. Okay, and then we have one more option, that is application development. Right, and now we have to select ASP.NET 3.5. Right, then go below. Last but not the least, management compatibility, IS6 management compatibility. Okay, and I have to choose WMI compatibility, and the last one, IIS management scripts and tools. So these all features we have to install in a one shot if we want to make a primary site server, because multiple things, multiple features that we are going to run that are dependent on these services, that are dependent on these features. Okay, just match my screen whenever you are going to perform it, match my screen and do the installation. Okay, because if you're going to miss any one of them, it may possible that we will not be able to use some services of SCCM. Okay, now go next and restart if needed. Yes, and then install. So we did the prerequisites, the installations, right? And now we have to get the configuration manager set up from the internet. Okay, means multiple setups we have to download. See, let me show you what and all things we have to download. Don't worry, we will go step by step, right? So if I'm going to my local server, okay, so these much things I have to download. This is the ISO setup for our SQL server, right? Then we'll be having a setup for our no, sorry, SQL is this one, and then one is for our server operating system, one is our Windows 11 operating system, and one is our Windows 10 operating system. In case of Azure, it is not needed, because over there we will be getting the images automatically, right? But if you want to work in our own lab, then in that case we have to download these setups, ISO setups, right? Then we will be needing ADK setup, Windows pre-installation setup. Okay, and then we will be needing MECM. This is the setup file actually for our this one configuration manager. Okay, and this is going to be the .NET 4.8 I was talking about, right? .NET 4.8 setup. Okay, then this is the SQL. In order to make a database server, we have to get the SQL ISO also. Okay, then how we will be able to manage our database? For that, we have to download one more tool, that is SSMS, SQL Server Management System. So these all setups we have to download. Okay, this much, these all three, if you are working on Azure, these are not needed. But if you are going to work in your on laptop. If you're going to configure the lab in your own laptop, then in that case, you have to get these also. Okay, now let's download the WADK and Windows pre-installation tool now. See, in the beginning, guys, we have to bear the pain of installation. It is a huge task basically, right? And to be very honest with you, in the organization, if you are going to work on SCCM console, you will not get the chance to install it from the scratch, because over there you are going to work on the running environment, right? So that is why, because see, we are going to configure from very scratch, so it will take time.
In Azure, we can install a server with the SQL.
Yes, you can do that also, but I would recommend to, manual install the SQL.
Okay, so for practice purpose.
Based on my experience, I would recommend you to go with the manual installation of SQL.
Okay, so we all have to install all that software in a primary domain.
Some of the software, see, SSMS and this SQL, this is needed in the SQL server. Okay, then MECM, this setup, and this .NET framework, it is needed in SQL as well as for our primary site server, right? ADK setup and ADK pre-installation setup, it is needed for our this one only, primary site server only. Okay, so I'm going.
In Azure, how can we transfer that all setup file in our virtual system?
You can copy it, directly. You can copy it. See, if I want, I can do it. See, if I'm copying it,
like a normal RDB.
Normally I can do it. So I can transfer it actually. Let me paste here. Okay, and if I want to transfer in my Azure, even we can download it in the Azure itself. Now we have internet connection over there.
Right.
Why to transfer and all? We can just directly go and download it. See, we can copy it from our base machine also. If you want, you can paste it. Okay. But no need to do it, right? We have the internet on our Azure machine, so why to go with the manual install, like manual download in our base machine, and then we will going to transfer here? No, directly just go to
like AWS have only 30 GB volume when we install a VM or instance. So is there any limitations of
yes, in Azure, whenever you're going to create a Windows operating system, there would be a 127 GB of C drive you will be getting.
Oh, far enough for that setup.
Far enough for us.
Yes, because AWS is only provided 30 GB.
No, I don't think so. 30 GB is for Linux machine.
Yeah, for Linux machines.
Yeah. Okay. Now, see, whenever you're going to create a virtual machine on Azure, you will be getting 127 GB. Okay. Okay, let me take a full screen of it, and then again we have to download some setup. So after this, we will wrap up the session. Okay, we'll start the installation tomorrow from the same point. Let me go to Edge. Okay, just go to Google. Go to Google. And type here WADK download. WADK download. So this basically is needed if, let's suppose, I want to deploy the operating systems. Okay, so that is why, or we want to extract the report from our client machine, and we will be able to get it in our SCCM console. So for that purpose, we are going to install it. Okay, WADK download. Okay, just go with this first option, that is Microsoft Learn. So here we have one option that is download the Windows ADK for Windows 11 version 22H2. So it works for our servers also. Okay, so just select download the Windows ADK. So it is just of 2 MB, right? And at the same time, you have to download Windows pre-installation environment. Okay, choose this option. Or even let's first of all install it. Let me see what's going on with our previous installation. If it is done, then okay, it is done. Now close it. And now we are going with the downloading of, sorry, the installation of WADK. Okay, so I'll go to downloads. And then select WADK setup and try installing it. Okay, now go next. Yes, next. License agreement is accept, you have to accept it. Now, no need to select all these options. Okay, we just only needed deployment tools. So this is what I was talking about, that let's suppose if I want to deploy the operating system, in that case, I will be needing it. Okay, so deployment tool is needed, and then user state migration is needed. Others you can uncheck, it is not needed for us. Right, now go next and install. At the same time, on the same link, you will be getting the option of Windows oh, sorry, we have to select pre-installation environment also. Download the Windows pre-installation add-on for the Windows ADK. Just select this one. And now let's let it complete, and then we will start installing the this PE setup as well. Or let me see if it completed. Okay, it is going on. No. And then we have to download the configuration manager setup. Yeah, right. So it is going to be of around 1.5 GB around. Okay. So we will just download the setup today, and tomorrow we'll try to make it as a primary site server, and we will configure our database server also. For database as well, we have to get some installation files like ISO for 2016 or 2019, whatever the SQL server you want to configure, you can get the ISO of that from the Microsoft. And then we have to get the SQL Server Management Studio tool, right? So that if you want to run any query, you can just go directly to your you can go directly to that tool, and you can create your queries, or you can run your queries, and then based on that queries you will be able to get the report. Okay. So in the initial days of our lab, it is going to be a bit lengthy, guys, right? Because see, we have to do the installations and all, right? And later on, I will try to wrap up within 1.5 hour or within 1 hour. Okay. Now close it. Right. And now I have to install the pre-installation also. So I'll go to this setup now. Double click on it. Even we have to create some group policies as well. So we will do this tomorrow. Next. Next. Yes, and then install. Okay, so meanwhile, it is getting installed. I want to join this machine onto domain also. See, directly I will not be able to, because now I am working on Azure, right? For now, these machines are using the DNS IP of Azure that is provided by the Azure. Okay, but I have configured the domain controller on the private IP, which is not going to be available, right? So I have to do some configuration on my Azure portal. For Azure portal, it is needed. If you're doing it in your own lab, right, that we used to do in the VMware itself, we have to just go to network adapter and then you can change the IPs. Okay, just for Azure, we have to follow this process, right? Now I'll go to Azure portal again, right? And I'll search for the virtual networks. In the search bar, just type virtual networks and select this. So we have configured our domain controller or our domain on 10.0.0.4 network. Okay, so what I will do is I'm going to provide the DNS IP. So open this MECM-network, go to DNS servers. Under settings, go to DNS servers and see, for now it is provided by the Azure, but we want to use our internal DNS. Then only we will be able to join these two virtual machines onto our domain. This is again in case of Azure only we have to do. For others, if you are configuring it on Hyper-V or VMware, then in that case it is not needed at all. Okay, then select custom, right? And then you have to provide the IP, that is 10.0.0.4. Okay, and then save it. Right, so in order to take effect that this IP should be configured to each and every system of your Azure account, then in that case we have to take the reboot of all these machines. Okay, just cancel it. It is done. Or we can close it also, right? Meanwhile, let me verify if it is configured or not. Let's go to DNS servers. Yeah, it is there. Now cancel it. Okay, now close it. Let me see if the configuration is done so that I can take the reboot of all the servers. Welcome. Yeah, it is done. Now close it and close it. Now just do one thing. Go to your Azure portal, or you can take the reboot from the servers itself, but I'll do from here. So I'll go to virtual machines. I'll select all of these and then I will take the reboot of these machines. Restart. Okay. Yes. DC is not needed. Why we selected DC? Okay. Anyways, because DC already have the IPs and all. Anyways, so we just rebooted all. Just let's wait for some time. Hope it got restarted. No, actually, what happened? Let me see the command if it is executed. Oh, command is not executed actually. Okay, let's do the restart again. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, now the command is executed. Yes, Rohit, it is mandatory in order to get a credit, in order to create a Azure account, a free Azure account, that you have to get a unique credit card, right? It is always needed. Debit card will not work. For Indians, it will not work. Earlier, it used to work for the Kotak Bank, but I don't know why it is not working nowadays.
And so if we download software onto those virtual servers, do we get charged for the downloads, or will that
No,
be
is
free?
it totally free of cost? We will be using the evaluation version from Microsoft, which is valid for 6 months. Okay. So
Yep.
what and all softwares we are getting from the internet. So it is totally free of cost till 6 months, right?
And then the storage, will we be charged for the storage, or
Storage, if you're talking about Azure, right?
yeah, just for the software that we're gonna be downloading, that's
Mhm.
gonna take some storage space.
Exactly. They will take some storage as well,
Yeah.
right? So we are installing it in the C drive itself, right?
Okay.
So we have created these VMs, and under this VM, we got around 130 GB space, and under that only we can just install the software.
Okay.
It will take around 10 GB space.
Okay. And we don't get charged for those
No,
space. Yeah,
no,
okay.
no,
Thank
no,
you.
no. Until or unless you are not upgrading your account to pay as you go, they are not going to charge anything from you.
Thank you.
Just you have to remember this thing. If you have created a free trial account, right, after 30 days, automatically you will not be able to use any service in Azure. You will not be able to run the servers. Okay, in that case, Microsoft is going to ask you to upgrade your account, that is pay as you go, which organization used to work on. Okay, so no need to go for pay as you go, right? Because if you are going to select pay as you go, then in that case they will start charging you from your credit card itself. Okay, so once you are done with all the practicals, either if you are not like clear with the concept, then in that case you have to get one more credit card, and then you can create one more account, and then the same lab you can configure over there also. And even there is one more option over which I can help you. Sometime it works, right? Sometime it works that obviously we are getting this account for this amount for 1 month only, right? But I have one option through which we can get a $200 rebate in our next billing cycle. So if we are going to use the services that are under $200, so for that also we need not to pay. Sometime it works actually, and even for me it works multiple times. Okay, so I will let you know that feature also. Even this account also, it is going to be expired soon, so maybe in between I will let you know the procedure how we can do that. Onto this account only I will let you know. Okay. Okay, I believe it got rebooted. Yeah, done. Now we have to join the systems onto domain. Go back to your RDC manager, right? Connect these systems one by one. Database, DC. Now you should be able to ping your domain also. Try to ping. If you're able to ping your domain, if you're able to ping your servers with the name, then it means your DNS is configured successfully on all the machines. If you are not, then there will be some issue with the DNS. Okay, so go to your command prompt, right, and try to ping DC. How? Just a second. Ping 10.0.0.4. Okay, we are getting response from it actually, but why not from the name? We are getting from IPv6 response. Huh? Okay. We disabled the IPv6 from database, right? We did it now. Okay, let me check. Properties. It is done now. Then why we are getting from? Okay, let's try to ping domain. Yeah, we are able to ping, yeah. But see, we are getting the response from 10.0.0.4. That means we can successfully we are good to join the systems on domain. Okay, so why DC? Maybe there is some issue with the, maybe we have defined some other name to this device. Okay, anyways, just go to sysdm.cpl. Sysdm.cpl. This is a shortcut, or you can directly go to computer name, right? Go to local server, and from there also you can select the work group. Okay, you will be getting the same option, right? And then go to change, and then you have to give the domain, and the domain is lab.com, and then okay. So it will pop up for a password. We have to give the password who will be having, sorry, we have to give the credentials who will be having the permission to join the machines onto domain. Okay, so that is why I'm just giving the domain admin account. The name of, oh, I forgot the name, right? Password is different actually. Done. Mm, what happened to it? Okay, let's try joining MECM also, local server, work group, and then change, and then domain, that is lab.com. Have to give the password and the username and the password. Okay, welcome to the domain. Now these servers are the part of your domains. Close, restart now. And for that also database, we have to reboot the machine and then close it. Restart now. Okay, so we are good for today, right? What and all things we discussed, let's revise it. So first of all, we talked about that what and all things we have to configure in order to build a SCCM infrastructure. We have to create 3 servers: domain controller, database, and primary site server. Under that, we have to do some prerequisite, where actually we are going to disable the IPv6, we are going to disable the internet enhanced security, and we are going to we are going to disable the automatic Windows updates, right? After that, we have to do some of the installation of, we have to do some of the configuration, like we have to install some features and services onto each and every servers, right? And we will make one domain controller, and we have to join that domain controller onto our domain, so that we will be able to manage them. Like if I'm going to create some policy, so because see, as I told you, we have to create some policy also. I want to create some firewall rules also, right? So on every server, I'm not going to one by one configuring, I'm not going to configure this this firewall policy one by one onto the servers, right? So what I will do, I will centrally manage that policy from the DC itself. I will create a policy on DC, automatically that will be applicable for all the devices which are going to be in my domain. Okay, so if I'm going to my DC, just access your dsa.msc, you will be able to see your users, sorry, these computers into your domain. See, database and MECM server. So these are the part of your domain. Why DC is not there? Because why this domain controller is not there? Because it is a DC. It is not a member server. It is a domain controller. It will be available under domain controllers. Okay, and rest of the PCs, either you are going to create Windows 10, Windows 11, so they are going to be visible here. Okay.
So one question.
Yes, please.
when we joined the database and MECM to domain,
Mhm.
you inputted the admin username and password, Sandy. Where
Exactly.
did we created that on? Was it on domain controller?
Yes. So when I was creating these machines on
Okay.
Azure,
Yep.
so at that time I have to define the username so that from that users I will be able to connect these machines.
Okay.
So I created that Sandy user over there. Once I made that domain controller, so that Sandy user automatically become the
Administrator.
administrator.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else you want to ask before we wrap up? Any confusion you have regarding this course?
No, I think it was very helpful.
Okay, so hope I'm clear to everyone, guys.
And our classes, is it going to be every day, weekdays, same time?
Weekdays. Yes, Monday to Friday. So initially it is going to be a bit lengthy, like we had a 2-hour session today, right? Because
Yep.
see that we are going in the installation phase, right?
Yep.
So if initially 2 or 3 days, it is going to be a bit lengthy, but later on we'll be having classes for 1 and maybe for 1.5 hours. So
Okay.
this basically will take 1 month actually.
And are we going to get recording of this
Exactly.
classes as well? Okay.
Once we are done with the labs, once we are done with the classes and all, so next day you will be getting the recordings on your portals. Right?
Thank you.
And regarding the study materials and all, hope you downloaded, hope you have joined the classroom.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay. Then yesterday I will let you, tomorrow I will let you know how we are going to access it, and I'm going to deploy. So I'm going to, add some data over there. Okay. And you will be having rights to download that also. Okay. Okay, guys. Good night, everyone. We'll
Thanks,
see you
everyone.
tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good night.
Suan, Suan, কাল পড়ছে কালে জোয়ার